Chapter 4. Lydia's Silence. The photograph on the wall stunned them into silence. Judge Renner, unmistakable, stood beside a younger Lydia Moore. Her expression was neutral, almost fearful, as though she hadn't expected the picture to be taken. There was no date, no context, but the implication was clear. Jonah stepped forward. So they knew each other. Maybe more than just judge and witness. Eleanor nodded slowly, which makes her absence from the stand even more suspicious. The apartment was neat but strange. The walls were covered with clippings, yellowed articles about old trials, many presided over by Renner. One article, from 2003, was circled in red, asterisk, Keller trial ends in controversial verdict. Asterisk beneath it was scrawled a note. The lie begins with silence. They searched the rest of the rooms carefully. No sign of a struggle. Lydia's purse and coat were still there. Bathroom light on. Food half-eaten. She had left in a hurry or been taken. In the bedroom, Eleanor found a notebook tucked beneath a loose floorboard. Inside were pages of meticulous handwriting. April 19th, 2003. Asterisk, he told me not to testify. Said I'd only confuse the jury. Said it was better if I disappeared for a while. I agreed, like a fool. But I saw who really left the Keller house that night. I know Adrian didn't do it. Asterisk. June 7th, 2006. Asterisk, he still sends money. Always in cash. Always through someone else. I feel like a ghost, locked in someone else's crime. Sometimes I wonder if he did it to protect me, or to protect himself. Asterisk. March 2nd, 2023. Asterisk, he called. First time in years. Said he was afraid someone had found out. That the letters had been intercepted. He told me to stay hidden. I told him I was done hiding. Asterisk. Jonah exhaled. So Renner silenced her. He knew the verdict was flawed. And now, years later, someone's coming for both of them. Eleanor nodded. And Lydia was going to come forward. Which makes her a target. They put out an APB, missing person, potentially abducted, and sent patrols to question neighbors. But the building's security was non-existent. No working cameras. No witnesses saw her leave. As they returned to their car, Eleanor's phone buzzed again, this time from forensics. Update on the fire victim. Partial match found. Male, mid-50s. Former corrections officer. Name, Raymond Price. Worked at the penitentiary where Adrian Keller was held. Retired 2 years ago. Jonah's jaw tightened. What was he doing in Renner's house? Maybe trying to silence him. Or maybe Renner killed him in self-defense. But then, where did Renner go? The list of questions was growing fast. And one name sat at the center of it all. Adrian Keller. They made the call to the penitentiary. But the response chilled them to the bone. Adrian Keller? Released 8 months ago. Paroled for good behavior. Jonah stared at the phone. No one told Renner. The warden's voice came through, uncertain. We sent the usual notifications. Eleanor cut the call. Keller's free. Renner's missing. Lydia's missing. A corrections officer is dead. Jonah muttered. It's not a case anymore. It's a reckoning. Chapter 5. The Return of Keller. Eleanor and Jonah couldn't shake the feeling that the past was clawing its way back with a vengeance. Adrian Keller's release after 2 decades in prison was a seismic shift. The trial that had sent him away was now looking like a lie, or worse, a carefully crafted frame. They started by digging into Keller's life post-release. He wasn't living under the radar. In fact, Keller had taken up residence in a modest apartment on the edge of town and was quietly rebuilding his life. No known family, no social media presence, no contact with the media. Eleanor decided to pay him a visit. The building was old, a little run down, but tidy. A neighbor confirmed Keller lived there, but no one had seen much of him. They knocked, but no answer. Jonah peered through the window. Inside, the room was sparse, a bed, a small table with some books, and a wall filled with philosophy texts. But something caught Eleanor's eye, a blackboard with a series of numbers and letters, scrawled hastily in white chalk. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Keller stood there, thinner, older, but with the same piercing eyes. "You're the detectives," he said quietly. Eleanor nodded. "We have questions, Mr. Keller." He stepped aside. "I figured you'd come eventually." Inside, Keller sank into a chair. "I never killed them," he said, voice steady but weary. "I was set up." Eleanor leaned in. "By whom?" Keller smiled sadly. "By the system. By people who wanted a quick conviction. Judge Renner was a part of that. But there's more. Someone orchestrated the whole thing. Someone who wanted me out of the way." Jonah exchanged a glance with Eleanor. "Why now? Why the letters?" Keller's eyes darkened. "Because someone's trying to bury the truth again. The fire, the murder of Raymond Price, it's all connected." He paused. "There's one thing I need you to understand. The one who never spoke was the key. Lydia Moore. She was the only one who knew what really happened that night." Eleanor asked, "Where is she?" Keller's face tightened. "I don't know. She disappeared after the trial. I think someone made sure she never came back." "Do you know who might want to silence her? Or Renner?" Keller hesitated. "There's a name I was too scared to say. But now, it's time. It's—" Before he could finish, there was a loud bang at the door. Jonah rushed to block it as two masked men tried to break in. "Run!" Keller shouted. Eleanor grabbed Keller's arm. Together with Jonah, they bolted through the back door into the alley. The city streets swallowed them up as the men's shouts faded behind. Breathless, Eleanor looked at Keller. "Who did you try to tell us?" He shook his head. "Not yet. But soon." Chapter 6. Secrets in the Dark. After the narrow escape, Eleanor, Jonah, and Keller regrouped at a safe house, an old, nondescript apartment owned by the police department for undercover operations. The tension in the room was thick. Everyone knew they were close to something dangerous. Keller paced the small living room, his eyes darting between the peeling wallpaper and the barred window. Finally, he stopped and faced them. "I owe you the truth," he said, voice low but steady. "The trial, the fire, the threats, they're all tied to someone who wanted power. Someone who wanted to bury the past." Eleanor urged him on. "Who?" Keller swallowed hard. "It was Judge Renner's protege, Jonathan Fisk." Jonah raised an eyebrow. "Fisk? The current chief prosecutor?" Keller nodded. "Yes. Back then, he was an ambitious young attorney, eager to climb the ranks. He manipulated the evidence, threatened witnesses, including Lydia. Renner was caught between doing what was right and protecting his own reputation. He chose the latter." Eleanor frowned. "And Raymond Price?" "The corrections officer who died in the fire." Keller's face darkened. "Price was my only friend inside. He tried to expose the cover-up, but Fisk had him killed to keep things quiet." Jonah's jaw clenched. "That explains the murder. But why fake Renner's death?" "Because Fisk knew Renner was starting to talk. He wanted him out of the picture, dead or alive." Eleanor paced the room. "So Lydia was the key witness who never spoke because she was threatened. Price was silenced. Renner disappeared to protect himself." Suddenly, Keller's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and paled. "It's Lydia," he whispered. Eleanor snatched the phone. The message was chilling. "They found me. Meet me at the old courthouse tonight. Come alone." Jonah looked to Eleanor. "We can't let her go alone." She shook her head. "She asked for a loan. We have to be careful." As night fell, Eleanor made her way to the deserted courthouse, shadows stretching long in the moonlight. The building groaned in the wind, its broken windows like empty eyes. Inside, footsteps echoed in the vast, empty hall. A figure stepped forward. Lydia. She looked older, worn by years of fear and silence, but her eyes burned with determination. "Thank you for coming," she said softly. Eleanor studied her carefully. "Tell us everything." Lydia took a deep breath. "I never testified because I was terrified. Fisk threatened my family. But I've gathered proof. Documents, recordings. Everything that can bring him down." Suddenly, the lights flickered and died. Darkness enveloped them. A voice whispered from the shadows. "You shouldn't be here."